Ramolobeng. Thank you. I have a crisis of people of how they pronounce my surname. I'll be chairing today's public hearing and would have as Sotho technicians, are we going to be able to proceed with the meeting? Show us that we're able to proceed. Thank you. There would be an English and Sesotho translator. Are your mics sorted out? Technicians, can we give you 1 minute to sort this out? You can proceed.
Re ka qala ka ditshebeletso tsa kajeno. Re tlo ba le batoloki ba Sesotho le Senyesemane le Setswana le Afrikaans le Sexhosa.
As I've indicated that I'll be sharing today's session, I would like for us to stand, observe a silent prayer or meditation before we can proceed with the meeting. Thank you. I'm not alone in this panel. I'm with colleagues from the Portfolio Committee of Home Affairs who would equally be listening to the submissions that you would be making regarding the Electoral Amendment Bill. I'll start to introduce them. On my left is Honorable Tito. On my far right is Honorable Kanyile. And we have Honorable Nhwas.
Ke na le beng ba ka be ke sebetsang le bona ba tswang lefapheng la ditaba tsa lehae mme ke se ke le boleletse mabitso a bona. Re ka tswela pele.
We can then now proceed with the meeting. I would go through the purpose of the hearing.
Re ka tswela pele ka kopano re tla bua ka sepheo sa molao ona.
The purpose of the hearing is that Parliament has come to the people to listen to their views with regards to the Electoral Amendment Bill submissions based on the court outcome.
Lebaka leo re le mona ka lona ke hore Parliament e tlile mona hore e tlo mamela maikutlo a lona mabapi le sephetho sa lekgotla ka molao ona wa dikgetho.
We're here to take and listen to your submissions. We're not here to respond or to seek clarities. We'll be receiving submissions based on your views on how you think the Electoral Amendment Bill must consist, especially with regards to the independent candidates. Therefore, the panel that is with me will not be responding to any clarity-seeking questions. I thought I make that clear before we proceed with the meeting.
Re mona kajeno ho tla mamela ditlhahiso tsa lona eseng ho arabela kapa ho fana ka ditlhakisetso. Re batla ho utlwa maikutlo a lona mabapi le bili ena ya tokiso ya molao wa dikgetho. Ne ke batla ho hlakisa ntlha eno pele re tswela pele hore ha re tlo tla re fana ka ditlhakiso re batla ho utlwa maikutlo a lona.
We are not here also to speak on service delivery issues that might be occurring to your respective wards or areas. We are here basically to speak on the Electoral Amendment Bill.
Hape ke batla ho hlakisa hore ha re tlo bua ka di mathata kapo diphephetso tseo le nang le tsona mabapi le phano ya ditshebeletso. Re monana ho tla utlwa maikutlo a lona mabapi le tokiso ya molao ona wa dikgetho.
On the 11th June 2020, the Constitutional Court in the New Nation Movement, NPC, and others versus the President of the Republic of South Africa, 2020, the New Nation Movement case declared the Electoral Act of 1998, Act number 73 of 1998, to be unconstitutional, to the extent that it requires that adult citizens may be elected to the National Assembly and provincial legislatures only through their membership of political parties. The declaration of unconstitutionality was suspended for a period of 24 months to afford Parliament an opportunity to remedy the defect in the Electoral Act giving rise to the unconstitutionality.
Lekgotla la Molaotheo kahlolong ya lona ya New Nation Movement, NPC, le ba bang, kgahlano le Mopresidente wa Republic ya Afrika Borwa le ba bang, 2020, le phatlaladitse molao wa dikgetho wa 1998, molao wa 73 wa 1998, e leng molao o hananang le molaotheo moo o hlokang hore baahi ba baholo ba ka kgethwa ho ya ho ba ho seboka sa naha le makgotleng a ketsa molao a diprovinse fela ka ho ba ditho tsa mekga ya dipolotiki. Lekgotla leo la molaotheo le laetse Palamente ho lokisa dikarolo tse phepetswang ke molao nakong ya dikgwedi tse 24 ho tloha ka letsatsi la kahlolo e leng dikgwedi tse 24 tse lokelang ho balwa ho tloha Phupjane 2020 ho fihlela Phupjane 2022.
The Minister of Home Affairs introduced the bill in Parliament on the 10th of January 2022. The committee published the bill in all official languages for comments or submissions to be made on 21 January 2022, and the closing date was on the 21st of February 2022. Briefly, the draft bill proposes an amendment to the Electoral Act to include independent candidates in the provincial and national legislatures.
Letona la lekala la ditaba tsa lehae le ile la amohela molao ona ka di 10 tsa January 2022, mme molao ona wa fetolela dipuong tsohle hore o ananelwe. Molao ona na ka sehloho o sebetsana le hore ho lokela ho amohelwa bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ho kenela seboka sa naha le makgotleng a ketsa molao ya di-province.
We're therefore going to start with listening to submissions with regards to the bill. Therefore, we'll accord each speaker 3 to 5 minutes to make that submissions. The row that is in the middle will be people that are, based on show of hands, would be seated to make their submissions. Before we could even start, we must be able to respect or listen to each speaker that will be making submissions, therefore not cause any uncertainties to speakers as if their submissions or views are not required or correct. So therefore we need to respect each other towards that process so that we're able to proceed with the meeting to be free and fair to all those who will be making submissions.
Re tlo qala ka ho mamela maikutlo a lona mabapi le molao ona na wa dikgetho. Sebui ka seng se tlo fuwa metsotso e meraro ho isa e mehlano. Le tlameha ho phamisa matsoho ho bontsha hore le batla ho fana ka maikutlo, mme le tla bewa mona moleng o hare. Ke tla kopa hore re mamelane re fanane sebaka. Re hlomphe maikutlo a motho e mong le e mong a batlang ho fana ka maikutlo a hae. Re se ke ra hatana
Therefore, I'll open for submissions. I'll open the floor for hands that would want to speak or make submissions. Remember, speakers is 3 to 5 minutes.
Ke kopa le phamise matsoho ho bontsha hore le batla ho fana ka maikutlo le hopole hore motho ka mong o na le metsotso e meraro ho isa e mehlano ho fana ka maikutlo.
I'll take the first round. You will start, miss, with a black. You would be the second at the back with a blue mask. The guy with the gray jersey will be the third speaker. Kindly make way to the middle row. You'd be seated according to the numbering. The red hat, you'll be the fourth speaker. The yellow jersey, you'll be the fifth speaker. Black jacket, you'll be the sixth speaker. You'll be the seventh speaker. Miss with the white cap, you'll be the eighth speaker. You'll be the ninth speaker. You'll be the 10th one with a check shirt. The 11th, how many chairs are in the middle? Let's see people sit according to the chairs so that we're able to see whether we'll take a second round.
Kopa le dule re tle re tsebe ho bona na re tla ba le mokgahlelo wa bobedi.
Kindly, all those I've nominated to speak, make your way to the seats.
Ha o phamisitse letsoho o kgethuwe hore o tlo bua re kopa o tle ditulong tsena tse hare.
I think I've noted 10 hands.
Se ke
Will
batlile
come on the
matsoho a
second
10.
round. Are they 10? They are 10. So we'll know the second round. We're just going to now listen to the first round, and then we'll bring in on the second round. Each speaker, when they speak or make submissions, kindly indicate your name, where you are from, if you are coming from an organization, which one you are coming from, and please indicate as well whether you accept the Electoral Amendment Bill or you do not accept it, so that it gives an indication to those who are drafting whether you are in agreement or not in agreement, and therefore you proceed with your submissions towards that. Thank you. The first speaker, you can come on the floor.
Re kopa hore ha o qala puo ya hao o bolele hore lebitso la hao ke mang, o tswa kae, ha ba o tswa mokgatlong o bolele lebitso la mokgatlo, le hore na o dumellana le tukiso ena ya pele kapo tjhe. Ya leboha.
I think so. Thank you. Good morning, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Members. My name is Elsie Rockman. I'm from the ANC Free State Interim Provincial Committee. Yes, we do support the principles of the bill, but we do have concerns that we would also like to raise. The ANC has also always supported the proportional representativity of our electoral system. We take note of the Constitutional Court's decision to bring in independent candidates in the same way as they are able to contest municipal elections. It does not require us to redesign an electoral system. We do need to maintain the integrity of proportional representation. It is a system that lends itself much better to representation of women, youth, and other marginalized groups, and it gives voice to diverse opinions and even minority opinions in our society. Our concerns relate to the practical implementation to make provision for independent candidates. For example, we might end up having unwieldy, long, complicated ballot papers. And the only way we foresee that we are able to reduce the complexities of the ballot paper is to re-look at the criteria that will qualify people to stand as independent candidates. We do foresee that any independent candidate or new parties that have not held seats in prior elections should have demonstrable support, that at least it will be a serious candidacy that could win a seat in a legislature. We would be proposing that such an independent candidate or new parties should indicate at least 1/3 of support based on the prior election, if they have not held seats before. It will reduce the number of people that could be contesting. Another proposal that we would like the committee to consider is currently parties are required to pay deposits to contest in the national or provincial elections. The committee should be considering whether we maintain the same thresholds. If, for example, it's 200,000 to contest in a national election for a party, it should be the same for an independent. The same would apply to a provincial legislature. If it's 45,000, they should be able to pay that as well. If you win a seat, you do get a refund of your deposit that you have paid. In addition, we would be proposing that independent candidates should be able to submit almost a list of seconders of that nomination. And such a list should contain the relevant details, whether it be names, ID numbers of registered voters who support their candidacy. And that list should be available for public scrutiny, just like any other party lists become available. And it must also be available online. It should not only be submitted in an office where you are required to go and look and see, verify what is on the list. But it should be available online, that it makes it easier and more accessible for any member of the public or other parties to verify the supporters or seconders of certain nominations. Let me stop there. Thank you, Chairperson.
Interpreter.
ANC Freestata, me udumellana le diphetoho tse tlo etswang molaong ona wa dikgetho, empa o na le dintho tseo a tletlebang ka tsona, tseo a batlang ho bua ka tsona. O re kgale bona le mokgatlo wa ANC ba ntse ba tshehetsa taba ena ya hore ho be le boemedi bo lekalekanang bakeng sa bonkgetheng parlamenteng. Mme sena se tsamaelana se kgema le molao le se hlokwang ke molaotheo, mme ka tsela e jwalo se dumella batjha le batho ba sa itekanelang le batho ba sa kgoneng ka nako tsohle ho ipuella hore ba kgone ho ipuella ka tsela e jwalo. Sibui lebitso la hae ke Elzabe Rockman. Empa mathata a teng bakeng sa ho kgetho, bakeng sa taba ya bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng. Mme tokomane ena o kopa hore komiti e ke e shebe ka leihlo le ntjhotjho, haholoholo ke se tla hlokwang ke motho ya ikemetseng hore a tle a kgone ho ba nkgetheng. Motho ya ikemetseng o lokela ho ba le lenane le bontshang hore o na le 1/3 ya batho ba tla mo tshehetsang bakeng sa hore a ye dikgethong. Ntho e nngwe hape, motho eo o lokela hore a ba bontshitse a na le lenane leo le lokela hore le be le mabitso mmoho le dinomoro tsa pasa tsa bukana boitsebiso ya batho ba batlo mo tshehetsang. Mme lenane lena ha le a lokela ho ba ofising fela kapa kantorong fela ya commissioner dikgetho, hape le lokela le ho ba mane online bakeng sa hore setjhaba le sona se kgone ho le fihlela lenane leo mme se le sekaseke. Komiti e lokela ho sheba taba ena ya depositi hore bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng le bona ba lokela ha depositi ya ho kenela dikgetho e le 200,000 bakeng sa mekga ya dipolotiki. Le bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ba lokela hore ba lefe tjhelete eo, mme motho o tla kgutlisetswa depositi tseo tsa hae haebe a fumana setulo kapa a kgethwa ho ya parlamenteng kapa ho ya provinceng. Mme deposits tsa province le tsona di lokela ho shejwa hore di lekane fela hantle le tsa mekga ya dipolotiki bakeng sa bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng.
Seat Speaker. Technician, don't kill my mic.
I proceed?
Yes.
Yeah. Good morning, Honourable Chairperson and Honourable Members of Parliament. My name is Niels van Rooyen. I am a member of the ANC, and as the ANC, we are supporting the bill for to bring in independence to compete at the next election. I think the previous speaker has said a mouthful, and I fully support what she said. The only addition that I think is important that I want to make is that the independents should compete on the same level as political parties. That means that the threshold should be the same. And in the case of the independents, I think it's only fair that the fraction system does not apply to the independents, because that will create a sort of administrative nightmare and will not able to compete on the same level. But the rest, Honourable Chairperson, I think I support what the previous speaker said, and she, as an ANC, we will support the bill as it is with the amendments. Thank you very much.
Dumelang modulasetulo, lebitso la ka ke Leons van Rooyen, mme ke setho sa ANC. Rona re le ANC re dumellana le diphetoho tsa bili bakeng sa bakgethwa ba ikemetseng. Ke dumellana le seo se buisa pele se buileng, empa fela ke batla ho tlatsa ka hore bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ha ba lokela ho hlodisana boemong bo tshwanang jwalo ka mekga ya dipolotiki. Boemo ba bona ha bo lekane, mme ka hoo re kopa hore le mokgwatshebetso wa tlhophiso ya bona e seke ya tshwana hobane ha ba boemong bo tshwanang. Empa le ha ho le jwalo ke dumellana le seo sa le diphetoho tsa bili hore bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ba kenyelletswe. Ke a leboha.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, Honorable Chair of the Committee and members of the Committee of National Parliament. My name is Mapija Machaka, the Secretary to the Legislature, Free State. In principle, Honorable members, from the point of view of the Legislature, and with due regard to the Constitutional Court judgment and the fact that the system is already there at municipalities, we support the bill in its current form, except that there are few issues that I want to raise with the Committee of National Parliament with reference to clauses specifically. So I will not be raising issues in general terms. I'll go directly to specific clauses if the committee allows, Chair. The first one is with reference, obviously, to the application of the Constitution of the country. I'm not sure where I am, but it will appear that the amendment is unfolding of the National Act. But the question that you don't have to, it can just be noted, that I know that the Constitution makes reference to political parties. It makes no reference, as far as the last time I checked, to independents candidates. So that is a note that I'm requesting the committee to look at. That is one thing. The second issue, Chair, is in relation to section clause 31B. 31B, Chair, it B subclause 3, paragraph F, Chair, where it says, a prescribed declaration signed by the candidate confirming that he or she has not been a member of any political party for at least 3 months preceding the date of the nomination. My issue, Chair, is with regard to the 3 months, because the memorandum does not explain why a candidate should at least have left a political party. If he or she was a member of the political party, at least 3 months preceding the date of the nomination. So my view, Chairperson, is without an explanation from National Parliament, it is not necessary to have the words at least 3 months, as long as when a person, in my view, is nominated, at the time the person is nominated is not a member of the political party. Otherwise, Chair, for me, it's an exclusion that can also result in further litigation, Chair. The second issue is the following paragraph, where it says a recent photograph of the candidate in such form as may be prescribed. So my reading of the word recent photograph, Chair, by the look of things, it's vague. Unless it is clarified, Chair, that the word recent will be explained in the regulation as what it means. Does it mean 3 months? Does it mean 2 months or 6 months? If you do note that, Chair, in the committee. The next one, that is page 5 of the bill, in relation to the objections to independent candidates, that is specifically clause 31E. Under that, Chair, 31E, subclause 1, paragraph C. No, paragraph A, Chair, rather, where it says, any person, including the Chief Executive Officer, may object to the nomination of an independent candidate on the following grounds. A, my issue is on A. The nominated candidate is not qualified to stand in the election. For me, Chairperson, it's very wide. It doesn't say qualification in terms of which, because as I go through the bill, for purpose of consistency and clarity, where you say a person is not qualified, you refer to a particular clause to say a person is not qualified in terms of, for instance, clause 31A and clause 31B. That is the issue, Chair, from my side on paragraph A. And then when you go down, Chair, subclause 6, it says, if the Commission or Electoral Court decides that a candidate's nomination does not comply with Section 3B, the Commission or the Electoral Court may allow the nominated candidate an opportunity to comply with that section. So it doesn't take me, Chair, where I stand further than that. So it's basically, it's endless. It doesn't provide for the time frame where you say the candidate is given an opportunity to comply after an objection. It means the person must go back and rectify the issues raised in the objection. But it doesn't talk about the time frames. It doesn't talk about the procedure that must be followed by either the Electoral Court or the Commission or the candidate, himself or herself, Chair. I think lastly, Chair, that is page 8. On that page, maybe, Chair, it could be because I did not give myself a sufficient opportunity to go through the bill, but I reiterate from our side, Chair, that we support the bill in principle, but the way I see it, with the 50% half of the independent candidates and the 50% on compensatory seats. For me, Chairperson, it will, where I stand, if I should use the words, it will kill political parties by half. Because it basically says you are going to have 50% of independents. So whoever is the ruling party after the next elections when this bill comes into effect, it's going to be very difficult to attain even a simple majority. I know that it may be easy when you adopt the reports in the House because you only require 2/3 of members of the House. But on things like the adoption or consideration of legislation, you need 50% plus 1. In the case of the Free State is 30 members, it means you require 16 members. And from the 16 members, you must attain the majority to adopt a particular piece of legislation. So I'm saying, although we are accepting that the incorporation of the provisions for candidates is welcome, but it will have a negative impact, if I should use the word, on the political parties as we have them today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Interpreter?
Sibui se qetang ho feta mona a ke tsebe ke ena empty mahlangu ba confirm ditlo la hae ke mang?
Machaka or
Machaka.
Mashaka?
o tswa Freistata mme o dumellana le phetoho e sisintsweng ke bili ena ya molao wa dikgetho empa o na le dintlha tse itseng tse a batlang ho hanana le tsona haholoholo ka tsela ya tshebetso. Ntlha ya pele o hlahisa bakeng sa ho phatlalatswa ha ntlha ena mane molaong wa motheo ha ke sa fose molaong wa motheo mekga ya dipolotiki e hlahella hantle ntlha eo ya mekga ya dipolotiki bakeng sa dikgetho e hlahella hantle empa ntlha ya bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ha e hlahelle hantle mme ka kopo komiti e kutswa hore e shebane le ntlha eo ya hore molaong wa motheo ha jwale tjenana tokomane eo ha e bontshe ha e bue letho ka bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng. Ho section 31B ho na le mo ho thweng nkgetheng ya ikemetseng o lokela hore hlahise tokomane mo a ikanang teng ka ho saena hore ha e ne e se setho sa mokga wa dipolotiki bakeng sa dikgwedi tse 3 pele a kenela dikgetho e leng nkgetheng ya ikemetseng. Sebui se re se hanana le taba ena hobane ha fela motho a kopa hore o batla ho ba nkgethe o batla hore e be nkgetheng ya ikemetseng taba eo lokela ho amohela hore na e ne le setho sa mokga o itseng neng kapa neng ha ya lokela hore e be ntlha e nkelwang hloko. Ntlha e nngwe hape ke ya senepe sa nkgetheng ho ya ka molao ona ho ya ka bili ena ho thwe senepe setshwantsho sa nkgetheng e lokela ho ba sa moraorao tjena empa bili ena ha e hlalose hore na ha o thwe moraorao tjena ho bolelwa jwang a na ho bolelwa kgwedi tse 3 tse tsheletseng. Ntlha e lokela ho hlalosa hore na ha o thwe setshwantsho kapa senepe sa motho e lokela hore e be sa moraorao tjena o lokela hore o behelwe nako. Ho mane leqepheng la 5 tlasa clause 31 subclause 1 paragraph H ho thwe motho e mong le e mong a ka nna ya ba nkgetheng ha fela a na le di-qualification tsa ho ba nkgetheng. Jwale moo ditlhoko tseo tsa dithuto kapa di-qualification e batla e le batsi haholo ha e hlalose hore na hantlentle ho batluwa di-qualification kapa mangolo a thuto kapa mangolo a ho dumellwa ho ba nkgetheng tlasa maemo afe e lokela ho hlaloswa taba eo he ya hore na motho o lokela ho dumela moo tlasa maemo afe o ska thu fela di-qualification e batla e namme haholo ha e hlalose. Clause 31A le ho isa ho Clause 31A le 31B hona moo sub-clause 6 ho thwe electoral court lekgotla la dikgetho kapa commissione ha ho fumana hore nkgetheng ha a kgeme le se hlokehang hore ebe nkgetheng ya ikemetseng o tla fuwa nako ya hore a itukise a tla tsebe ho kgema le tse hlokehang bakeng sa hore ebe nkgetheng. Empa ha o bewe nako ya hore na o lokela hore na a etse seo nako e kae, ha o bontshe le hore na o lokela ho nka mehato efe ke lekgotla la dikgetho kapa commission bakeng sa ho netefatsa hore motho o kgema le se hlokwang hore ebe nkgetheng ya ikemetseng. O support-a kapa o tshehetsa taba ena ya 50% ya hore bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng e lokela ho ba dipersente tse 50 tsa lekgotla la ketsamolao. Empa o re sena se tlo bakela mekga ya dipolotiki mathata hobane bakeng sa diqeto tse ding ho nkuwa fela 2/3 hore 2/3 ka mantswe a mang 25% 2/3 ya di vote lekgotleng la ketsamolao hore ho tle ho fihlele qeto e ananelwe kapa ntlheng tse ding ho batluwa 50% plus 1 bakeng sa hore mokga ebe wona mokgwa o thweng ke mokga o busang ka hohle. Jwale ha o etswa mohlala ka mona Freestata ho hlokeha ditho tse 16 tsa ketsamolao bakeng sa ho ananela molao ofe kapa qeto efe kapa efe. Empa jwale ha ho tlo nkwa 50% ya batho ba dulang lekgotleng la ketsamolao e le ba ikemetseng, sena se tlo bakela mekga ya dipolotiki mathata hobane ho tlo ba boima hore le mokga wa dipolotiki ebe wona o busang ka hohle ka mantswe a mang ebe wona o etsang se tsejwang ka sekgowa hore ke majority rule. Ya leboha.
Thank you. The next speaker can proceed. Before you proceed, can we maintain order? Maybe you would have arrived late. We have indicated rules of the House. No speaker will be interrupted and no submission will be made as if it's not correct. So we require to respect the rules of the House. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and the team. Special greetings to Honorable Commissar Lerato Tito. My name is Mpumalanga. I'm a member of the EFF. And as the EFF Honorable Chair, we do not support the bill because as a country, we do not think that we are ready administratively for the bill, both from the IEC and Parliament, over and above political challenges it will bring. This bill is not going to strengthen our democracy. Instead, it is going to be used to infiltrate oversight and legislative processes by people who want to use money to control individuals that are not accountable to a collective but themselves. Chair, but since the Constitutional Court has put a position, independent candidates must contest national general elections on the following conditions. 1, the threshold for the nomination of independent candidates must not be less than 20,000. And this must be people who are registered to vote, and the IEC must be able to verify them individually, one by one. 2, The reasons we are saying the threshold must be higher for those wishing to contest is because we are going to have thousands of candidates for provincial and national elections, and that will be impossible to efficiently administer from an electoral point of view. 3, Honorable Chair, the deposit that independent candidates must pay must be the same as the deposit paid by political parties, and it must not be refundable, as the inclusion of independent candidates will come with cost, and people who wish to stand should not be taking chances. 4, Chairperson, those who contest as individual independent candidates and get higher votes than is required to get an award in Parliament must forfeit the remaining votes, because they would have been given a clear and equal opportunity and option to contest as political parties do. Lastly, Chair, we strongly discourage by-elections to replace independent candidates who either die or resign from Parliament or legislature, because if such is permitted, the country will be permanently running by elections. That's my submission, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Interpreters, when you interpret, can you kindly summarize what the speakers would make submission of, so that we do not spend more time on interpretation? Thank you.
Na lina laka sorry. Ke tswa go botshabele lina laka ke Mpho Ramatama, mme ke leloko la EFF. Ke batla go tlhalosa ha ke sena go dumedisa lona modulasetulo ga mmogo le maloko a rona a tlotlegang gore rona jaaka EFF ga re tshegetse molaotlhomo ono o tlileng, ene mabaka a re nang le one ke gore ga re a tshegetse jaana ka lebaka la gore ga re a siamela go tsamaisa ditlhopho tseno tse, ka gonne gone jaanong jaaka ga re leba re fitlhela e le gore bathata a teng mo IEC mmogo le mo parlamenteng ka bo yone go na le dikgwetlho tsa sepolotiki, ka jalo ga re a siamela go tsamaisa thulaganyo ya democracy. Mme mabaka ke a latelang a go bo re sa dumelane lone. Lebaka la ntlha ke gore batho ba e le gore ba tlhophilwe ga ba tshwanela gore ba kopiwe gore palo ya go tlhopelwa go nna batho ba e leng bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetse ka nosi e nne ka fa tlase ga 20,000. Mme ebile e tshwanetse gore e be le batho ba ba kwadisitsweng sentle. IEC e tshwanetse gore e kgone go netefatsa ka bonnete one by one gore batho ba ba kwadisitswe. Number 2, lebaka la go beilwe palo e kalo ya bone e tshwanetse ke ka lebaka la gore go na le diketekete mo teng ga naga ya rona ya batho ba e leng gore ba gaisanela ditlhopho tseno tsa bosetšhaba mmogo le tsa porofense, mme ga di kgone go tsamaisiwa sentle ka tsela e atlegileng. Number 3, di deposit tse go teng ba di duele di tshwanetse gore di lekane le tse di duelwang ke ba e leng maloko a dipolotiki ka tsela e tshwanang, mme ebile gape ha ba duetse go seka ga ba ganna le busetso madi kgotsa refund. Then number 4, ba bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi ba tshwanetse gore ba newe palo e kwa godimo thata ya di vote, mme ha e ka feta palo e beilweng tsotlhe tse ba nang le tsone tse di oketsegileng e tshwanetse gore di ba latlhegele, ga ba tshwanela gore ba di newe e nna kganya gore go tsamaisiwa dilo ka tekatekano. And then number 5, ga re batle ebile re ganana le ntlha ya gore ha motlhopho mongwe a swa kgotsa a tlogela parlamente a ba a emisediwa ka o mong, ka gonne ha re dira jalo re tla bo re sa tsamaisi thulaganyo ya ditlhopho sentle ka tshwanelo mo nageng ya rona. Re a leboga.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and honourable members and members of the public. It's a great privilege to be personally in front of you today. My name is Michael Louis, and I will be representing the business community in Bloemfontein. Actually, my grandfather started the business in 1914, so it's now 108 years that our family has been making and adding value to the people of this beautiful town. Chair, there's also another reason why I'm here personally is that I'll never forget on the 23rd of April, 2017, you might remember it was the Angus Buck and Mighty Men prayer meeting in Bloemfontein where 1 million people were present. And I'll never forget people praying for this nation. And when I heard the voices and the cry of the people for this nation, I really prayed that I can be used to make a difference in this nation. And that's why, Chair, on the 25th of December, 2017, I launched personally the constitutional electoral reform application to the Constitutional Court to activate this process. So my submission to you today is that I want to make it on record that I've never ever, being an anti-political party person, this is a constitutional process and an inclusive process to deepen our democracy. But Chair, just a general comment prior to giving two constructive comments to the bill and to add to the bill where I'm really concerned, is that personally I'm very, very concerned about this public participation process. I believe the contributions for the last week have been that the submissions have been uninformative, the people haven't been educated, and it's very sad that that's the way that this process has taken place. And there's precedence in the court case of the Doctors for Life versus the Speaker of Parliament, which says conclusively the following, that public involvement in the legislative process requires access to information and the facilitation of learning and understanding in order to achieve meaningful involvement by the ordinary citizens. And that was the reason for this, Chair. And you might recognize my name because I submitted to the Standing Committee on behalf of the Independent Candidate Association in my oral submission. And there I specifically asked that Parliament and the members of the citizens will be presented with the People's Bill, which was the Private Members' Bill of Lakota, as well as the majority report of the MAC report. And those submissions weren't presented today, nor was it given to the citizenry. However, Chair, I'm glad to make the following comments, which are constructive comments regarding the bill. The first one is regarding the system. It is well documented that the system in this bill will not work at all. As you know, the system is divided into 9 regions, which is the 9 provinces. And if we look at the calculations of that system, Parliament didn't go interpret the bill into the regions, and you will see that in that system, the independent candidates to achieve a parliamentary seat will have to get 82,000 votes in that province. And what they do is they take the number of population, and if we take it in Bloemfontein, there's 1.45 million people in the Free State, which will equate to round about a 5.5% point, which means that in the Free State there will be an allocation of 16 members to the National Assembly. However, Chair, the honourable members will know in the last election in 2019, it cost a Member of Parliament to get round about 43,000 votes to become a Member of Parliament. Here, this system will let the independent candidates get double that to 82,000 votes just in the Free State to qualify, which makes it an impossible system and will make them impossible to qualify. Just for the interest of the public and for the members of Parliament, I looked at the 2019 election results of the other political parties. For instance, Scope, which is now a member of the National Assembly, achieved 26,497 votes, the UDM 60,303, and the Good Party 75,000. And that's a countrywide, all 9 provinces to go and fight the election. So, Chair, for an independent candidate to get 82,000 just in the Free State, pay a deposit and 100 signatures just makes it impossible. Chair, and then my second point, so what I'm recommending to Parliament to do is, if you look at the MAC report suggests 200 constituencies. However, this government bill is recommending 9 provinces. However, there's 3 submissions that I think is very good for Parliament to consider, which is the People's Bill that is recommending 66 constituencies, which is a compromise. And that will be a highly recommended process. The second main issue is regarding proportionality, Chair. And there you'll see that if we look at proportionality, there's 2 aspects that I'm wanting to bring. In the People's Bill, they recommend the single transferable vote. Now, I know a lot of people complain about the single transferable vote, but what it is before an election, an independent candidate can nominate a person that he believes can take some excess votes. Proportionality is a constitutional issue, and that's a way to deal with it. However, even in the MAC report, the majority report says that independent candidates can consolidate in the majority in the proportional representation on the national to national votes. And Chair, I know a lot of the members of Parliament are complaining to say, listen, but why don't they just form a political party? Well, what happens in the national to national, the independent candidates will form a list, and the independent candidates with the highest number of votes will then be able to be afforded a parliamentary seat. So, Chair, in conclusion, I'm wanting to say to this committee that there's an excellent bill. I led a team of legal people. It took 21 months and 7 legal people to draft a bill. Which is the People's Bill. I'm very saddened that I even saw a law advisor at one of the universities saying that the current bill that's in Parliament must have taken just a couple of weeks or even a week to draft. We believe the bill is really very weak, and we want to really plead with the Parliamentary Committee, take the People's Bill, all the strong elements about it, and then fudge the 2 bills between this current bill and the People's Bill. Chair, in conclusion, it was never ever the purpose of this journey just to do a surgical approach and just to include independent candidates. It was always a reform process where everybody can be included to deepen our democracy. I hereby plead with the Parliamentary Committee to leave a legacy to the children. This is a kairos moment in time when you can take this bill and totally see electoral reform that generations can benefit. And from my heart, Chair, I remember my grandfather leaving Lebanon in 1914 to give my generations a better hope. That's what I'm wanting to do, is to leave a generational legacy that my generations and the people thereafter can benefit from, an accountable, responsible electoral system that will really work. I thank you.
Thank you.
Ke lebogela tšhono nna leina la ka ke Mike mme ke eme fano fa ka go emela batho ba e leng gore ke batho ba dikgwebo mma ke simolole go tlhalosa fano fa gore go tloga fela ko tshimologong rremogolo e leng grandfather wa me o ne a simolola dikgwebo ka 1914 mo go rang gore losika kgotsa boswa jwa dikgwebo tse di ileng tsa botswa mo teng ga lelapa la rona di tse di le bogolo jwa dingwaga di le 108 re ntse re tlisa pharologano mo gare ga setšhaba sa batho ka di 23 April 2017 ke gopola gone mo Bloemfontein mono mo go ile ga tshwarwa kokoano e kgolo ya dithapelo e mo go yona batho ba le bantsi ke satsane ke gopola dilo tse ba ne ba di bua le dillo tsa bone ha ba ne ba rapelela gore go nne le pharologano mo gare ga setšhaba mme ka di 21 December 2017 ke a gopola gore ka nako eo ke ha re ne re simolola re mekamekana le go tsenya dikarolo tsa constitution mo tirong ha ine e botswa mme seno ke sone se se ileng sa dira gore thulaganyo ya molaotlhomo o re buang ka one gompieno jaana o bo o le teng le wa ditlhopho ka botsone ga ke motho yo e leng kgatlhanong le dipolotiki nna ke motho yo o dumalanang thata le constitution ya naga ka gonne ke yone e tokafatsang puso ya rona ya democracy ke jalo ge ke ka kgang ya go tsaya karolo ga batho mo molaotlhomong ono o ka maswabi ke filetse gore batho ba le bantsi ba ba ntshang ditshwaelo ka ga molaotlhomo ono tota ke batho ba e leng gore ba tlhaela kitso e ntsi kgotsa re ka re ba tlhaela thuto e lekaneng ka jalo ditshwalo tsa bone ga di re fe dintlha tse di godileng tsa thutego mo tlhaloganyo tse tota re ka akanyang ka tsone ga ba kgone go fitlhelela tshedimosetso ka tsela e tshwanetse gore e fitlhelelwe ka teng seo ke bothata jo bongwe jo re berekanang le bone gone jaanong jaana ka gonne re batla thulaganyo e leng gore e tla tokafatsa mokgwa wa bone wa go ithuta e leng gore dilo tse dintse ga ba tshwaela ka tsone di be di utlwela sentle mo teng ga megopolo e leng ya rona ka jalo ke rata go kopa fano fa palamente gore e ke e akanyetse maemo ano a baagi re bua jaana re shebile dintlha tsa botlhokwa tsa molaotlhomo ono o re buang ka gone ka lebaka la gore gone le jaanong jaana selo se re lekang go se lwanela fano fa ke gore system e dirisiwang gone jaanong jaana tota ga ena mosola ga e bereke sentle ya bile eno ya rona gone jaanong jaana e dirilwe ka mokgwa wa gore naga ya rona e kgaogangwe ka dikarolo kgotsa di-region tse 9 e leng di-province tse 9 tse e leng gore mo go tsone jaaka ga di ntse jaana palamente ga ya ka ya leba sentlentle gore ditlhoko tsa porofense nngwe le nngwe ke dife malebana le bili ene ka jalo ke bili fela e akaretsang thata ka sekai ha o tlhaola Free State o e beela ko thoko o tla bona gore mo porofenseng eno e tota go tlhokega 82,000 ya palo e ka nnang ya divoutu ka lebaka la gore yone ka bo yone yotlhe e tshwere 1.5 million ya batho ba e leng baagi e leng se se translatelang into 65.5% point e leng gore ha re e leba e batla seo e le palo ya maloko a batho ba e tla nnang bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi kgotsa e bile kana mo gongwe palo ya teng e nna gabedi ka mantswe a ha re batla motho yo e leng tlhopheng yo ikemetseng a nosi e ya go 43,000 ka jalo ge nkebe ke re e menagana sebedi e ya go 82,000 ya divoutu tse e leng gore motho yo o tla di tlhoka mme jaanong ha ke leba di pholo tsa ditlhopha tsa 2019 tse di neng di le teng go ne go na le mo e ka nnang dipalo tse di farologaneng e nngwe ya tsona e le ya 26 ya divoutu tse e leng gore e ne e tla tshwanela ka gore e nne tsa ntlhopheng yo o ikemetseng ka nosi ka jalo go felletsa fela le go sobokanya modulasetulo re tlhokomela fano fa gore le kgang ya gore go te motho e nne ntlhopheng yo o ikemetseng ka nosi yo tshwanetse gore a patele deposit a kreye di-signature di ka nna 100 thulaganyo e ntseng yalo tota ga e bereke sentle ha re le ba map report ya rona e re naya 200 constituencies mo e leng gore mo go yone gore ke batla go dira di-submission di le kana di le mmalwa mme e nngwe ya tsone ya di-submission e tshwanetse gore e nne kgang ya gore di-proportions e tshwanetse gore e nne tse di lekalekanang sentle go ya ka tsela e rulaganeng sentle ya go dirwa ga di-voutu di-map report tsa rona ke tsone tse di tla re thusang gore re nne le an excellent bill e leng gore e tla kgona go dira excellent bill e re nang le yone gone jaana e kwadilweng ke batho ba le 7 ba ba tswang mo ditirong tsa semolao mme gone maikutlo a me ke gore tota yone e bokoa bile eno ya rona e santsane e batla gore go bereke thatanyana mo go yone go bakangwe dilo di le mmalwa mo go yone gore purpose ya yona e ka metlha e ne e ntse e le teng e ne e le kgang ya go tlisa diphetogo le go akaretsa botlhe le go tokafatsa puso ya rona ya demokrasi ke a leboga.
Thank you. Before we acknowledge there's another speaker, let me firstly acknowledge in the presence the Deputy Mayor of Mangaung Metro. Can you kindly stand to greet? Mapaseka Nkwane. We equally have Mangaung Speaker. Can you kindly, Ms. Lockman? We equally have traditional leaders amongst ourselves. Barolongbo Seleka, Khosana Mapoho Muroka, Khosana Kopano Mokake, Khosana Tsatseng Rancho. We welcome you, traditional leaders, including the Deputy Mayor and the Speaker. The next speaker on the platform.
No, thanks, Chair. And let me greet the honorable members of Parliament and progressive members of the African National Congress who are here. My name is Katlo Mangwejani. I'm the provincial convener of the ANC Youth League in the Free State. And I stand to support the bill. However, we support the bill with the following amendments that we propose. The African National Congress has always supported the proportional representation as it allows diversity of ideas, both in parliament, councils, and even in legislatures. However, the Constitutional Court judgment, as much as it has directed us to now welcome independents to contest, it will open a lot of space for populists who would want to now contest elections for the sake of contesting. Now, Parliament would need to ensure that they are now stricter in terms of independents who will qualify to contest elections. One challenge, Chair, is that the ballot is going to be very long if we are not strict on people, independents who will be able to contest elections. We will be having a ballot with even more than 20 pages, which will be difficult for our elderly people to then be able to vote. So that is one challenge that is there, and we would like to propose that independents should contest on the same level as political parties, because we can't be contesting the same thing, but the rules are different. So, Chair, we propose that in order for a party to register to contest, they would normally pay 200,000 for national, and then 45,000 in the province. So that should apply to independent as well. Also, Chair, at least it would assist for chance takers not to rise and try to take advantage of these elections. Lastly, Chair, we propose a two-stage process where all who meet the full quota for one seat, they get a seat, and then the remaining seats will then go to parties who got relatively higher votes. So, Chair, that's our submission, and we would like to stamp on this that we avoid small parties, because now we have small parties who even get a seat with 0.25%. They get a seat in parliament. So this in parliament or even in local government. So this can assist to limit people who will be participating in these platforms. Thanks.
Thank you.
Ke a le dumedisa ditho tse hlomphehang tsa Palamente. Lebitso la ka ke Katlego Mangwejane, mme ke setho sa ANC Youth League. Rona re le ANC re tshehetsa bili ena ya dikgetho, empa re hlahisa diphethoho tse latelang. ANC e sale e le motshehetsi wa ditlhoko tsenana hore ho be le mehopolo e metjha ho lekgotla la ketsamelao. Empa kahlolo ena ya molaotheo e tla thusa ho hore bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng le bona ba hlodisane, empa jwale e ka nna etsa hore le bonkgetheng ba nkang menyetla ba ba nke monyetla wa hore ba kenele dikgetho empa ho sena mabaka. So ka lebaka leo Palamente e tlameha hore e thehe melao e tiileng hore ho se ke hwa kena le batho ba sena maikemisetso a ho etsa mosebetsi ka botlalo. Hape lebaka le leng le ka hlahang ke hore pampiri ya ballot e tlo ba telele haholo ha ho kena batho ba senang maikemisetso kapo ditlhoko tse hlokwang bakeng sa ditulo tsa Palamente. Re ka ithola re na le maqephe a fetang 20 a ballot, mme sena se tla etsa hore ho be thata bakeng sa batho ba hodileng hore ba tsebe na ba kgetha jwang. Ka hoo re sisinya hore bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ba kenele mme ba hlodisane boemong bo tshwanang le mekgatlo ya dipolotiki. Hape re sisinya hore bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ba lefe tjhelete e lekanang le mekgatlo ya dipolotiki. Sena se tla thusa ho thibela bonkgetheng ba senang mabaka ka maikemisetso a tiileng hore ba kenele dikgetho tsena. Ha ke qetela ke re sisinya hore tshebetso ya mehato e mmedi ya two quota ya ho fumana seat e sebediswe hore setulo se setseng se tle se ye ho mokgatlo o nang le divoutu tse phahameng ho feta. Ke a leboha.
Next speaker.
Morning, Chair and honorable members of the committee. Mine is very short, as some of my points have. My name is Tolan Ramatlotlo. I'm a member of the EFF. And we as the EFF reject the amendment bill. And I'm going to be very short because some of my points have been reiterated. In the last local elections, there were 1,500 independent candidates. And we can expect at least 100 independent candidates in a province given this amendment bill. Already IEC was having administrative problems to the point where other voting stations had to open late. And furthermore, inducing this weight on them for national elections, I believe is too short-sighted and will create even more administrative problems. It will also fragment the independent vote and make it hard for any independent candidate to win. Because if, for instance, 100 independent candidates got 10% of the votes, each one of them would get 0.1% and would not qualify for a seat in parliament, which means 10% of the people's voice will be discarded because of these independent candidates. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lebitso la ka ke Xolani Ramatlotlo, ke tswa EFF, mme ke hanana ka hohle le diphetoho tsena tse tlo etswang, mme ke tlo ba mokgutshwanyane haholo. Dikgethong tse fetileng ho nona le bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ba 1,500. Hona jwale tjena ka baka la diphetoho tsena ho ka etsahala hore ho be le bonkgetheng ba 100,000 hore dikete tse lekgolo bakeng sa dikgetho tsa naha ka bophara. Ha jwale tjenana le nakong e fetileng IEC ne ntse na le mathata a maholo tlasa tsamaiso ka baka la bongata ba bonkgetheng bana ba ikemetseng le mathata a mang a tsamaiso. Jwale ena bill e tlo eketsa boima bo tlo jarwang ke IEC, mme ke nahana ekare e shebetse haufi fela ha ya sheba dintho ya ka bophara. 100,000 ya batho ba kgethang ke ba tla kgethang bakeng sa hore batho ba amohele parlamenteng ke 10%, mme e hlokwang bakeng sa bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng. Ka mantswe a mang, bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng o mong o mong o tlo fumana mohlomong 0.1% e bolelang hore ba ke ba ya parlamenteng. Ka mantswe a mang, persente tse 10 tsa mantswe a batho a mantswe a setjhaba a batho ba ka ba kgethile batho ya parlamenteng a tla ba qheletswe fela thoko tjenana ntle le molemo wa letho.
Thank you. The next speaker.
nyaka ho dumedisa modulasetulo le ba mo potapotileng ho tswa ntlong ya ketsamolao ya rona kwa. Ke dumedise deputy mayor le speaker le ba tswang ntlong ya borena ba ho tswa Moroka. Ke dumedise mekgatlo e teng e fapafapaneng. Nna ke Thaba Motoko ke tswa mokgatlong wa Mangaung Anti-Gangsters and Community Safety. Rona re dumellana le molao ona haholo hobane motho e mong le mong moahi e mong le mong wa Afrika Borwa o na le tokelo ka ga molao wa rona wa motheo ya hore a ka ba le seabo kae kapa kae kapa a ba le bolokolohi ba ho etsa eng kapa eng a e batlang. Jwale boholo ba dintho tsene ke tlo di bua tse ka monana ke tse bueng ke ntate wa JC e grey ke mpa ke se ke lebetse bitso la hae mpa mme o la mohlala ke tsa hopola ke se buisa bone ka sa botlhano. Okay ke na. Jwale hona go supporta go phamisetsa haholo molao ona hore ga o supporta o tswelle empa ngongoreo e batlang e le kgolo ke hore na ha ntse ba bangata tjenana e re ama haholo moruong kapa tabeng ya tsa ditjhelete hobane ba tla patalwa ha hore ba se ba tluile ba kgutletse mekgatlong e itseng ya dipolotiki empa he gona re ha nne re tla lokisa mo ntse re tlamehang ho lokisa teng a re ke na le tshwaelo ene ke kopa ho etsa mme wa ka o e tlaisa pele o qala ka mosebetsi re na le batho ba tswang hole bo fomana ledi di-Westdorp van Stad Wepener be ke ba ho tlhokometseng kwa including le ba tswang Motshabelo ba tlileng e sale ka madungwadungwana ba sa kgonang ho fihlela sa ho ja empa ke le ka tshwenya hola ke bona la hlophisa breakfast. Jwale batho ba tla lose concentration ka baka la hore ha ba ja ba tlile ba tswile ka bo 5 ba tlile ka bo 5 kwana empa ba fumantshwa sa phomos. Ke a leboha.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and the members of Parliament. Good morning to the parties present and the members of Parliament. My name is Tabang Motobo. I am from the Mangaung Stars and Safety Group, and I say that we agree with the bill. As you know, in South Africa, all the citizens have a constitutional right. They have the freedom to do as they wish, and so I would like to say that the gentleman in the grey jersey, as you pointed out, Mr. Machaka, has said most of what I wanted to say. So I would just want to say, in addition to what he said, I support the bill, or we support the bill. There's just a concern that we have that this means that independent candidates will increase the numbers of parliamentary members, and this could affect the economy, as these members will be getting paid and might later on go back to their different political parties. But we will soldier on and see how things go. I just have a suggestion in closing. There are people from far away who came here very early and did not have anything to eat, and I'm just a bit disappointed that there was no breakfast organized, and people may lose concentration as they didn't have anything to eat. I thank you.
We note that. The next speaker.
Goedemorgen, voorzitter. My name is Councillor Logan from Mangaung Municipality, but I'm here in the capacity of an ordinary ANC member. Now, as the ANC, we support option 1 of the Ministerial Advisory Committee as it is contained in the amendment bill. We broadly support it as the best option for implementing the Constitutional Court order. We do, however, have some very serious concerns about the practicality of some of the proposals currently contained in the bill. A lot of the former speakers from the ANC has already alluded to things that I've wanted to mention, so let me avoid duplication and just reiterate the portion that I would want to focus your attention on. Now, we support that unrepresented parties and independent candidates should be able to show support of at least 1/3 of the votes needed to win one seat in the previous election. This is the only way to keep the ballot paper to a reasonable size. If Parliament is divided into many small fractions, forming government is challenging. There is a bigger danger to using the current formula that seats, and a lot of parties came in on less than one seat's worth of votes. Votes required for the quota for one seat has often been between 40,000 and 60,000 per seat, depending on the legislature and voter turnout. But some small parties have won seats on 10,000 votes in the National Assembly due to the formula for the largest remainder vote being used to allocate leftover seats. Potentially, we have many small parties and independents occupying key seats that holds a balance of power in a legislature of Parliament where no party gets over 50%. This is happening currently at municipal level and often leads to unstable and temporary coalitions. Now, this could be much worse at national and provincial government, where government could be paralyzed by small parties and independents who represents only a tiny fraction of voters, but who can make stable governance impossible. We propose a two-stage process where all who meet the full quota for one seat are awarded a seat, whether as parties or independents. Once no one is left who is entitled to a seat based on meeting the full quota threshold, the remainder seats should then be given to the parties that have the highest average of votes per seat won. An independent can obviously only occupy one seat, and their surplus votes will be discarded. Any party that has surplus votes should have these added to their total and divided by the number of seats already won by them. The party with the highest average will get a remainder seat. Now, this is the only way proportionality can be maintained, and we can prevent a situation like we currently, where many parties with less than 0.25% support still occupy seats. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Leina la me ke Agatha Logan Kruger. Ke batla go simola ke tlhalosa gore re a supporta bill ya rona jaaka ha re eme fa pele ga rona fano. Dilo tse dintse ke batla go di tlhalosa modulasetulo fano fa ke kgang ya gore best option e rona e dira gore re tshegetse molaotlhomo ono o ke ka lebaka la gore re batla go bona gona le tsela ya go dirwa ga dilo ka tsela ya semolao mo teng ga molaotlhomo ono wa rona. Go builwe dibui di le mmalwa tsa ANC tse di setseng di builwe dilo tse ke neng ke batla go bua ka tsone, mme ke tla leka go gatelela fela mo ntlheng e nna ke neng ke batla go tla mo go yone. Go le gantsi re ne re tlhoba mogopolo thata mo kganyeng ya gore batho ba ba emelang ditlhopho ba ne ba tshwanetse gore e nne 1/3 ya diboutu e le gore ba tla ba kgone go nna le seat e ba e batlang. Ha go ne go ka tshwarelelwa mo go seno se ne se tla dira gore bogolo jwa ballot paper e nne jo bogolo ka tsela e lekanetseng sentle. Ka mantswe a mang jaaka ha re itse go na le batho ba le bantsi ba e leng gore ba tla dira di-vote tsa go batla seat e le 1 ka gone jaana dipalo tse go tlhalosiwa gore di a tlhokega gore batho ba kgone go di voutelwa ke 40,000 go ya go 60,000 mme re a itse gore seno se ke tsela e leng gore e ne e ka nonotsha mokgwa tsamaiso wa legislature ya rona go na le di-party tse di potlana tse di lwelang go nna le seat e le 1 tse di tshwanetseng gore di ne di vote di ka nna 10,000 seno se dira jaana ka ntlha ya formula e latelang be go na le di-party tse di gape tse dintsintsi kwa thoko kgotsa bo go na le bo ntlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi tsela e dilo di tsamayang ka yone fanofa di tshwanetse gore e nne kgang ya go balansa power e leng gore e ya latelelwa malebana le go tsamaisa process eno ya ditlhopho tsa rona jaanong gantsi se se diregang ke gore go nna le maemo a sa tlhomamang a gore sentlentle dilo di tshwanetse gore di diragale ka mokgwa o ntseng jang ha re leba di-coalition fa gare ga di-province mmogo le naga puso ka kakaretso ke jalo go na le selo se le sengwe se ke neng ke ka rata go se gatelela fane fa gongwe le go konela ka sone ke gore batho bao ba lwelang go voutelwa ha e le gore go beilwe palo ya diboutu tsa bone palo e be feta thata e baneng ba tshwanetse ya diboutu tse ba ne ba tshwanetse gore ba nne le tsone re eletsa gore di-surplus votes tse leng tsa bone di latlhiwe di ske tsa latlhiwa mme go thuswe batho ba ba latelang ka tsone e le gore di oketswa mo godimo ga palo ya ditulo tse ba setseng ba na le tsone kgotsa palo ya diboutu tse ba setseng ba na le tsone e le gore le bone ba tle ba kgone go fitlhelela kgaisanelo ya ditlhopho e ba ne ba e tsenetse ke a leboga.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Mohlomphehi wa ka ke a leboga. Nna ke Tseko Mpakati moemedi wa OSA ho tlhaha Botshabelo. Phetapheto ha e hlokahale mohlomphehi wa ka. Dintlha tsa ka di ile kaofela. Empa ntumelle hore ke re ke ema kgahlano le lesisitheo la mmuso ho fetola hantle molao ona o ha jwale sepheo sa ona e leng ho ja tsuo bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ka ho henahenana le dikgetho tsa bona ho fihlela dikgetho kapo kgetho ya setho se ikemetseng e lahlehelwa ke boleng kapo e lahlwa. Kutlwisiso ya ka mohlomphehi mona ke hore ha dikgetho kapo kgetho e lahlwa hona ho bolela hore ntho e bitswang fairness e fedile kapo e tswile tsamaisong ya ditaba. Ho behella ka thoko mohlomphehi wa ka dintho tse nepahetseng jwalo ka kgetho ya motho ke ho thefula maikutlo a setjhaba ka bomo hore ditaba di lokele batsamaisi e seng bakgethi e leng setjhaba. Ha o sebeletsa setjhaba mohlomphehi wa ka o lokela ho se sebeletsa ka kgetho ya sona e seng ya hao. Diformula tse sebediswang ho abela ditulo ho abela ditho ditulo makgotleng a ketsa molao di matlafatsa haholo mekgwa ya dipolotiki e seng setjhaba ka bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng. Afrika Borwa mohlomphehi e aparetswe ke mathata a mangata haholo tsamaisong ya mokgatlo tsamaisong ya makgotla a metse kapo dimasepala. Mathata ana kaofela mohlomphehi wa ka a ropoha tlasa tsamaiso ya mekgatlo ya dipolotiki mo mekga ena e ntseng e theselana ho tsekisana matla power e sa natse mathata kapa tshotleho ya setjhaba seo mekga ena e lokelang ho se sebeletsa. Ka mona ke hore ho ka etswa eng hore ho fetola maemo ana a hlobaetsang. Tlasa mabaka ana le a mang mohlomphehi wa ka o sa ere setjhaba se a ipholosa mekga ya dipolotiki ka bonkgetheng ba yona e hlolehile hobane mathata ana a tjametseng naha ka jeno a tutile haholo tlasa yona mekga ena ya dipolotiki. O sa ere mokgwa kapo tsela ya ho phekola koduwa kapo mathata tsamaisong ya naha ke hore fela setjhaba se fuwe matla a ho ikgethela ethical leaders from among themselves. Batho bao kgetho ya bona e ananelwang ke mmuso ka formula e abelang ditho ditulo makgotleng a ketsa molao ho hlompha le ho boloka dikgetho tsa bona. ba ikgethele batho ba tshepahalang, batho ba tsotellang batho ba bang, batho ba tsebang hantle mathata a sebaka kapa motse o ba phelang ho ona, e seng batho ba hlahang ka ntle ho lebatowa, ba tswa ba tliswang ke mekgatlo ya dipolotiki metseng kapa dibakeng tseo ba sa di tsebeng. Hopola mohlomphehi wa ka hore the governing framework of South Africa ke democracy, government of the people, for the people, by the people. So if this envisaged amendment to the Electoral Act is oblivious of the value of the votes cast by the people to influence the choice of leaders representing them in councils, then that act is unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional to unilaterally, without the consent of the people, discard votes cast in favor of an independent candidate, because by doing so, people's choice, their constitutional right to choose who they want to represent them, is suppressed by the rulers. That makes it impossible for change to be attained in the administration of a country. Therefore, the unnecessary status quo of failing political leadership in government is retained. To bring about change, Honorable Chair, preference should be given to the popular will rather than to the specific will, such as that of a political party against the people, in terms of whose votes should be considered or ignored. Mohlomphehi wa ka also totally rejects government intention to fiddle with independent candidates' votes to the detriment of participating independent candidates, so as to spite the people and benefit political parties. Ke a leboha.
Thank you.
Kati, I'm from Botshabelo, representing OSA, an independent organization. I believe that repetition is unnecessary. All has been said. My opinion is that the government is reluctant to change the situation in a way that will benefit the independent candidates. A person's vote at the moment is it's structured in a way that it will be in favor of political parties as compared to independent candidates in terms of the formula that is being used in the legislatures around the country, both provincial and national. South Africa is going through a turmoil because of lack of service delivery, because of the failure of political parties to deliver. OSA is the only solution. OSA believes that the only solution to give the citizen an opportunity to choose is to give the citizen an opportunity to choose ethical leaders from their areas where they live, because they know those people who would be candidates, as compared to candidates who are being brought from other areas of the country because of their political affiliation. Phetoho e teng hona jwale tjena billing ena ha e thuse ka letho, e kgahlanong le molao wa motheo, ka hobane ho lahla divoutu tsa batho ke sehloho, mme ke kgethollo e kgahlanong le democracy. OSA e hanana ka hohle hohle le phetoho ena, hobane phetoho ena e tlo ba e utlwisa bohloko haholo ntlheng ena ya hore divoutu tsa batho ke tsa bohlokwa, le ho lahla vote e le nngwe fela ka tsela ena ya formula e tlo sebediswang bakeng sa ho divoutu tse fumanwang ke bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ha ya nepahala.
Thank you. Thank you to all speakers that have made submissions. Can I have a second round of hands that would want to speak or make submissions to the bill? You will start. Kindly note that when I note your hand to come and be seated on the row in the middle, you would start. That day you would follow. You would be the third speaker. You would be the fourth speaker. You'd be the fifth speaker. You'd be the sixth speaker with a cap at the back. You'd be the seventh speaker, Mama, with a white and blue jersey. Is there any other hands outside the seventh hands that I've raised? You'd be the eighth speaker. Kindly go and sit up front. Is there any other hands?
Since the relevant speaking sabo 8.
There are no other hands. You'll be the ninth speaker. Kindly proceed to sit. So we're closing the second round, and this could be our last round of hands
So
that
ke-
speak.
Tikologo ya bobedi ya bofelo e ka tswa e le tšhono ya gago ya bofelo ya gore o bue. So e ke ya bofelo.
We note the 9 speakers that would make submissions.
So ba 9 fela jaanong ba ba tlileng go ntsha ditshwaelo tsa bone.
When you speak, kindly be indicative of who you are.
Re kopa gore ha o bua ka tswetswe tlhalosa leina la gago.
Kindly be indicative of who you are and where you come from, which party or organization you belong to.
Le gore o
And
tswa-
kindly note, give us an indication whether you are in support or you reject the bill. Therefore, then raise your submissions or amendment to the bill.
Ka mantswe a mangwe, o tlhalosa leina la gago le gore o tswa kae le gore o emetse mokgatlho o feng o bo tlhalosa le gore a wena o motho o amogelang molaotlhomo ono kgotsa o ganana le ona. Ha o sena go tlhalosa dilo tseno tse o ka nna jaanong wa simolola go ntsha ditshwaelo tsa gago.
The first speaker, you can proceed.
Ka bua ra.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My name is Zolile Mangwachwa. I'm a member of the ANC here in Mangaung. As the ANC, we support the bill, but we have a number of concerns that we would want to raise. First and foremost, the ANC support the PR system. We support the PR system because it has meant that even smaller parties that get as little as 0.25% of the vote remain in parliament and have a voice in every legislature. I think South Africa is, the system as it is now, of the PR system is one of the most democratic in the world. 0.25 of political parties get a seat in parliament. So that is very much important. The PR system also allows better representation of women, youth, and other marginalized groups. You know, because we know as a country historically, women and children have been the most oppressed. So their voice is therefore very much important. The ANC supports option 1 of the Ministerial Advisory Committee. It is contained in the amendment bill. But further than that, Chairperson, you need to review the qualifications to stand as an independent candidate and as a new party. If you do not make it stricter, we can have thousands of candidates. Just in 2019, only 14 of the 48 parties made it into parliament. So many independent candidates and political parties, if you can only have 14 people being represented, 14 political parties being represented, so it means many of this goes to waste, you know. And then lastly, Chairperson, no one should be allowed to cheat to get onto the ballot paper. If you need to show support, it must be genuine support. If any unrepresented party or independent candidate or anyone working for them fakes or misrepresents the signatures, buys supporters to sign, or tries to mislead the IEC, there should be very serious punishment for actually doing so. no money or gifts or promises of rewards or jobs should be used to secure signature or support. A clear process for making objections to signatures of support should be included in the Act. Thank you very much.
Dumelang bahlomphehi. Lebitso la ka ke Zolile Mantontjwa, ke tswa ANC, mme rona re le ANC re tshehetsa molao ona. Empa re na le matshwenyeho a mmala. Wa pele ke hore ANC e tshehetsa system ya PR, e leng moo le mekgatlo ya dipolitiki e menyenyana e tla dula e ntse e emetswe parlamenteng, mme e be le lentswe. 0.25 ya mekgatlo ya dipolitiki e bohlokwa haholo. System ena ya PR e boetse e dumella boemedi bo eketsehileng ba basadi le batjha le dihlopha tse ding tse neng di beelletswe ka thoko hore le tsona di be le boemedi parlamenteng. ANC tshehetsa option 1 le mme e sisinya hore ho be le tekolo botjha ya ditlhoko bakeng sa bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng le mekgatlo e metjha. Ho hlokahala ho etswe melao e tiileng hobaneng ha o se jwalo ho tla ba le bonkgetheng ba diketekete ba batlang ho kenela dikgetho, mme sena se tla thatafatsa tshebetso. Ka hoo ho hloka hore le batho ba lekang ho qhekanyetsa tshebetso ya bonkgetheng ba shejwe ka thata, mme ba fuwe dikotlo. Ho hlokahala hore le batho ba lekang ho etsa ho thola di signature ka boqhekanyetsi, le bona ba fuwe dikotlo. Ho ske ha ba le batho ba fuwang tjhelete kapo dimpho hore fela bonkgetheng ba thole di signature. Ke a leboha.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Paul Tosang. I'm the Secretary General of National Unitary Association for African Traditional Health Practitioners of South Africa, NUPAPSA in short. I first would like to bow my head for you, Honorable Chair, and the Honorable Committee member, and the people at large. As NUPAPSA, we sat down from the THP sectors, and after consultation with various constituencies in the sectors, we took our unqualified stance to thumb up the proposed bill under the following reason. South Africa is a country that cherishes the diversity of its citizenship, be it traditionally, customary, religiously, and culturally. It will therefore be unfair for independent candidates not to be afforded same privilege as party candidates. However, a careful consideration must be given not to compromise the ability of the Electoral Commission to run the hassle-free elections. Our concern is that the qualification criteria need to be relooked at, and the quotas for allocating seats must also be relooked at in order to avoid the tedious long ballot paper to exist. Because in so doing that, by allowing a tedious long ballot paper, we will at the very same time contravene the adult suffrage rights of the voters as enshrined in our constitution. Many has been said that I wanted to say, but in that, I'd like to thank you all.
Thank you.
Leina la ka ke Paul Totlane, ke tswa mokgatlo o ka bokhutswane fela ke bitsa gore ke Luther. Mme ke a lo dumedisa modulasetulo mmogo le batlotlegi ba o dutseng le bone le batho ka kakaretso ba ba tletseng mo teng ga holo eno. Re ile ra dira di consultations ka mantswe a mangwe go leba maemo malebana le molaotlhomo ono. Mme re ile ra ela tlhoko gore Aforika Borwa ke naga e le gore e amega ka baagi ba yone ka mantswe a mangwe ya ba tlhokomela go se kgathaletsege gore ke ba mofuta ofe ha re leba di-culture tsa bona, re leba bodumedi jwa bona, re leba mekgwa ya maemo a farologaneng a botshelo a ba tswang mo go yone. Mme ha re ntse re leba tseo re ba ra ela tlhoko gore tota ga go a siama gore batho ba e le bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi ba seke ba newa tshiamelo e tshwanang le eno e ya go nna batho bao ba tsenelang kgaisano ya go nna bontlhopheng. Mme ditshekatsheko tsa rona tse di dirilweng ka kelotlhoko ke tse di rirang di re ga re batle gore go compromise-iwe mokgwa wa go tsenela ditlhopho tse di ntseng jalo. Re batla gore di dirwe ka mokgwa o senang mathata, di dirwe ka kgololesego. Mme ebile gape selo se sengwe re batla gore di-qualifications tsa bone batho ba ene gore ba itlhagisa jaaka bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi di tshwanetse gore di lejwe gape, le batho ba e leng batlhophi le bone ba tshwanetse gore ba lejwe gape go bona gore a mme tota gone ba tshwanelega go ba tsenetse dikgaisano tse di ntseng jalo. Ha re dira jalo re tla be re dira gore dipampiri tlhopho kgotsa di-ballot papers tsa teng e nne tsa bogolo jo bo lekaneng sentle le gore dilo tsotlhe di dire sentle ka thulaganyo. Ke a leboga.
The next speaker.
I would like to greet honorable members, members of parliament, traditional leaders, political leaders. My name is Tato Makatisi, I reside in Bloemfontein. I'm the member of the ANC. As an ANC member, I would like to agree with the amendment bill so that independent candidates should be listed on the ballot paper. As we saw at the past municipal elections, there was a decline in the ANC voters, which means people are not happy any longer with the ANC. As a member of the ANC, I would like to say, if independent candidates can be listed in, such as business people, so that they can bring stability to our country, like Petrus Motsepe, Salim Musa, Gift of the Givers, so that services can be delivered to our people. What I would like to say, it will also reduce the political factionalism in our ruling party, because our ruling party is the main party that governs us as a country. And it also reduce, it will eliminate political factionalism, it also eliminate the self-centered people who hold in positions without no qualifications. And it also eliminate self-centered people holding positions high in families, high in friends, high in political associates. So we would also like to agree with this amendment bill. I'll be shorter, Madam Speaker, I'll be shorter, Chairman Lady. I thank you.
Thank you.
Leina la me ke Thato Makatisi ke batla go dumedisa ba parlamente le modulasetulo le batlotlegi botlhe ba rena le bone fano fa mme ke tlhalosa fano fa gore na ke leloko la ANC me jaaka ha ke ntse jana ra o tshegetsa molaotlhomo ono o tlileng fa pele ga rona ra rata kganya gore gotwe batho ba ile bontlhopeng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi ba tsengwe mo teng ga ballot paper mme seno se re bua jana ka lebaka la gore mo ditlhophong tsa nako e fetileng go ile ga nna le mathata a go ganwa ga ditlhopho tsa batho ba ba neng e le di-votera tsa ANC mme nna jaaka leloko ke a dubalana fano fa gore bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi re ba tsenye e ne batho ba ba tshwanang le batho ba di-business ba dikgwebo ba e leng gore ba tla tlisa go ritibatsa maemo batho ba ba tshwanang le bo Patrice Motsepe bo Salim Musa e le gore ba tla ba kgone go tlisetsa batho ditirelo tse ba di tlhokang mme seno se tla fokotsa dikgogakgogano mo teng ga makoko a sepolotiki se tla fokotsa mathata a gore batho ha ba go hirwa maloko a lelapa go hirwa ditsala batho ba hirana ka botsala le gore ba na le dikamano dingwe tse di dirileng mo gare ga bona. Dilo tse dintse jalo gape di tla fokotsa le go hirwa ga batho ba ne ba maemo mme ba sena di-qualification. So ke dilo tse e leng gore ga re ka ba tsenyeletsa dilo tsone tsotlhe kgotsa mathata ano a re ne baneng le one a tla fela mme re tla tlisa thulaganyo e tshwanetseng. Ke a leboga.
The next speaker.
Greetings. My name is Vusi Keveza. I am a member of ANC. I stand against this independent candidate. I've got two questions because of, I can say so many people have said so many things about what I was about to say. The main proposal of people who are elected is to satisfy or meet people's needs. But if those independents, they are not going to satisfy their desires, what more they will do? Because of they can't even which initiative are they going to bring into people's needs? What are they going to change in people? Because of people, they are in need of so many things. Will they meet their desires, whatever that they want in our lives? Because we have a problem. We are still struggling with the catastrophic events that are happening in this place. I thank you.
Thank you.
Lebitso la ka ke Vusi Kevesa, ke setho sa ANC Bloemfontein, mme ke hahlaka hantle Vusi hore wa dumela kapa wa hana. Empa ho na le tse ngata tse builweng tlasa phetoho ena, mme nkebe ka pheta hape hobane ntho tsene ke lakaditse ho di bua se di bue. Sepheo sa hore motho a kene mmusong ke ho kgotsofatsa kapa ho thusa batho ka tseo ba di hlokang. Mme bonkgetheng ba ke na le potso tse pedi fela. Bonkgetheng ba tla kgona na ho kgotsofatsa kapa hona ho thusa batho ba ba kgethileng ka ho ba le molemo ho bona na? Ana ba tla kgona ho thusa kapa ho tlisa tse hlokwang ke batho? Hobane hona jwale tjena re santsane re le mathateng, re ntse re leka ka hohle hore re fumane ditshebeletso le dintho tse ding bathong ba re busang. Ka hoo ha ke kgolwe hore batho bana ba ipitsang bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ba tla kgona bona hore ba tlise phetoho kapa hona ho ba le molemo setjhabeng. Re santsane re le mathateng ka baka la meferefere le dikoduwa tse re hlaetseng haufinyana tjena, mme ha ke kgolwe hore ho ba le bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ho tla re thusa kapa ho tla tlisa tharollo tlasa tseo re ntseng re le ho tsona hona jwale tjena tseo e leng mathata ho rona.
Thank you. The next speaker. Yeah, you can proceed.
Okay. Greetings and special greetings to Commissar Lorato Duba, the most beautiful one. We love you too much. Too much. My name is Brown Mosabi. I'm from Ward 14. So I am here to reject the proposed amendment bill because now I believe as the country
we are not ready, and both the Parliament and the IEC, administratively, they are not ready for the conditions this amendment might bring. So, because the Constitutional Court has already took a position, we then would allow this particular suggestion to be taken into consideration should the amendment go through. So we say that the threshold for the nomination of this independent candidature or candidates, it shouldn't be less than 20,000. So that we do away with these failures whom we call opportunity seekers, careerists, and chance takers. So we must do away with these failures. So secondly, we should also take into consideration that if this bill is going to go on, these independents, they should pay the very same amount subscription fees or these payments that should be paid for them to be part of the electorate. They should pay the very same amount that the political parties are paying. And I would like to touch the last one, which I strongly reject and would discourage. Because now, our people, they have this thing of electing people to be, candidates who are very old. And we should reject that these independent candidates, should they die or should they choose to resign from parliament or legislature, they shouldn't be, like by-elections, because now, these people whom we call innocent citizens, they will be putting the Batabanyolosa like SASA recipient, people who qualify for SASA, like patients of Panado and Grandpa, go there to become councillor or candidates, and later on they die or they become bored, and now our country is then subjected to permanent state of by-elections. So should this bill be passed, please take into consideration that our people, they trust old people with these things of the candidates. So let's do away with the Bakula. Our CIC would say that Bakuli wa country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lebitso la ka ke Brown Motshabi, mme ke setho sa EFF hona mona Bloemfontein. Ke dumedisa komisa Lerato, re rata ka pelo sa rona kaofela, rona re le mokgatlo. Naha ya bo rona ha e so be maemong a hore re ka ba le bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng. Parlamente ha e so be maemong a hore e ka ba le bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng. IEC tlasa tsamaiso le mathata a tsamaiso le tse marangrang a tsamaiso ha e so be maemong a hore ka ba le bonkgetheng, ho ka ba le bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng mona naheng ya rona. Empa ka ha lekgotla la molaotheo se le nkile qeto, re tla tlameha hore re ananele qeto eo. Empa ho ananele qeto eo, bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ha ba lokela hore ba lefe deposit kapa tjhelete ya boingodiso hore e be bonkgetheng e ka tlase ho 20,000. Ka tsela e jwalo ba lokela hore ba lefe fela jwale ka ha di mekgatlo ya dipolitiki e lefayo, mekga ya dipolitiki tjhelete e ba e lefang le bona ba lefe yona. Ka tsela e jwalo tla be re phephetha bo marata ho bonwa batho ba thetsang batho le batho ba batlang ho nka monyetla fela wa hore ba kene dipolotiking kapa ba kene mmusong. Ka ho bohle ba lokela ho lefa tjhelete e lekanang le mekga ya dipolotiki. Ntlha ya bobedi ke batla hore re ske ra kgothaletsa kapa re phephethe ho kgethwa ha batho ba seng ba ile ka dilemo. Mme ka tsela e jwalo ha o etsahala hore motho o sa ile ka dilemo e se le motho a hodileng a kena mmuso mme a ya parlamenteng kapa a ya makgotleng a ketsa molao wa di-province mme a timela kapa a itokolla mosebetsing, ha wa lokela hore ho be le dikgetho tse sejwang ka hore ke di-by-elections. Hobane re a tseba setjhaba sa bo rona hore batho ba bo rona ba rata ho kgetha batho bao ke ba bitsang di-SASSA candidates, batho ba sentse ba kgola pension ya SASSA, ba dulang ba na le mathata a bophelo ka tsela tse fapaneng. Ha re batle bakudi, ha re ke re kgawane le bakudi hle, ha re kgetha batho. Hobane ha re ka ra dumella taba ena hore batho ba seng ba hodile ba tla o sa di batla ba tswile pusong, ba nne ba kene pusong ba kgethwe, re tlo qetella re dula re le naha e dulang e ntse na le dikgetho ka dinako tsohle ka tsela ena e tswang ka hore ke di-by-election. Ka ho ke phephetha taba e kang eo, mme ke hanana le bili ena ka hohle hohle.
Brown, leave the interpreter. What is your concern?
She missed something. She mistranslated something.
Okay, we know, I could see how you're moving and that, no, I could see that she would have missed what you would have made a submission on. And let me assure you, there is a recording that is playing that would record exactly what your submission would be. Yes, and if you don't trust that, you can bring us a paper of your submission to the recording team at the back so that they then correct, they record the true reflection of your submission. But you need to be assured, a recording that is playing here would be the one that they listen to and accord speakers according to that. Thank you, Brown. The next speaker.
A ke lebohe ka monyetla ona o ko fumanang. Ke le hlomphe kaofela baetapele ba dutseng ka pele ka moo. Lebitso la ka ke Beleme Thomas, ke moahi wa Ward 50 sebakeng se ho thweng ke Funstad and Ceres. Ke ema mona tjena ka nnete le nna ke re ke hanana le bili ena ka tsela eo e leng ka yona. Ke tiisa taba ya hore ho a hlaka hore ka nnete mokgatlo wa EFF o bonahala le mokgatlo o batlang ho tsotella setjhaba. Ke tshehetsa tshitshinyo ya bona ka hohle hohle, haholoholo moo ba buang ka dintlha tse latelang. Tabeng ya hore bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng threshold ya bona e be 20,000 ho ya hodimo, e seng ka tlase ho moo. Ntlha ya bobedi, batho ba hlwayang kapa ba kgethang bonkgetheng bana e be batho be leng hore ke bakgethi, ke batho ba ingodiseditseng ho vouta, e ska ba motho e mong le e mong. Ya boraro, bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ba patale tjhelete e lekanang le ya di-political parties. Ena yona ehlile ke batla ho itisa le nna ka nnete hobane naha ya rona e ka iphumana e dula e le dikgethong letsatsi le letsatsi. Ha bonkgetheng bana ba ikemetseng ho etsahala hore ba hlokahale kapa ba itokolle ahleng, ha ho hlokahale le hore re nenne re tla bitsa dikgetho tsa tlatsetso. Ho hlake fela hore ba lositse taba di fedile. Tšhelete eo ba tla beng ba lefile ka yona le nna ke tshehetsa tshitshinyo eo ya EFF hore e seke ya kgutlisetswa morao. Ya ho qetela ke hore haeba ba fumane di-vote tse fetang lenane leo ba lokelang ho le fumana, ke ka etsa mohlala. Haeba re threshold ya bona ke 20,000, be motho a ba fumana 50, wa hlaka. 20 ke yona fela e amohelehileng, 30 ena e ka nna lahlelwa kwanana taba di hlakile. Ke le hlomphile baetapele, ke a leboha.
Thank you.
Good day. My name is Beleme Thomas. I'm from Ward 50, and I am from Van Stadesris. I thank you for the opportunity, and I greet you all. I stand here to reject the bill as is, because it is clear that as the EFF, we care for our people. I support the EFF's suggestions, especially the following. Independent candidates should have a threshold of 20,000 or more and not less. Secondly, those who seek to be candidates should be chosen by those who are registered to vote and not by just everyone. Thirdly, independent candidates must pay the same money as political parties. Otherwise, we would be having elections all the time. If an independent candidate dies, there should be no additional elections. The fourth point, I also support the suggestion that there should be no refunds. And lastly, if an independent candidate receives more than the required quota of 20,000 votes, for example, if they get 50,000 votes, the rest of the 30,000 votes should just be lost. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker.
Thank you, Chairperson. Protocol observed. My name is Funiwe Petro from Congress of the People in the Free State. COPE agrees with the amendment of this bill. We agree that registered parties submit a declaration confirming that registered parties must submit a declaration confirming that all its candidates are registered to vote in the region or province where the election will take place. COPE again agrees that nomination of independent candidates to contest elections in the National and Assembly and Provincial Legislature must, and their qualifications must be known. We all need to know their qualifications because we have gone somewhere where we had our candidates who couldn't even understand what was written in the papers. They will always need to be interpreted for. So we really agree with qualifications of independent candidates. Again, we agree with the procedure that must be followed in the non-compliant nomination of an independent candidate that would be determined by the government. But now, government must please make this known early so that independents must know in time, or do they qualify or not. We must not be just told or there will be such things and all of a sudden, 2 days or a week before elections, then comes everything that candidates wouldn't be acquainted with. We again agree that providing for the return of a deposit to independent candidates in certain circumstances. We again say government must give us examples of such circumstances because they will have to contest knowing exactly what they have declared for and signed for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dumelang, lebitso la ka ke Funiwe Phetlo. Me na ke tswa Congress of the People. Jwalo ka Congress of the People, re dumellana le diphetho tsena tsa bill. Re dumellana le hore bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng ba tlameha hore ebe bonkgetheng ba ngodisitsweng ho ka vota. Hape re dumellana le hore ho thongwa ha bonkgetheng ba ikemetseng dikgethong ho tlameha hore ba tlameha hore ba be le mangolo a thuto a tsejwang hobane re kile ra ya dibakeng tse ding moo re fumaneng bonkgetheng ba sa kgone le ho utlwisisa dipampiri mme ba hloka hore ba di tolokelwe. Ntlha ya boraro re dumellana le tshebetso ya hore tshebetso ya bonkgetheng ba sa tshwaneleheng. Mmuso o tlameha ho tsebisa mabaka a hore nkgetheng ya itseng ebe ha tshwanelehe mme ba tsebise bonkgetheng bao ka nako. Hape ya ho qetela ko re dumellana le ntlha ya ho kgutliswa hwa deposit. Mme motho ya kgutlisetswang deposit a tsebiswe hantle mabaka a felletseng hore na hobaneng ha ho etsuwa jwalo. Ke a leboha.
Thank you. The next speaker.
Okay, my name is Sising Mujumi from Sanko Zonal Structure in Tabancho. Actually, nanto ke to bua ka yona ke hore ka nete bidena ke phamisetsa monwana. Fela taba e kgolo ke hore ke bona e thotse mona e bua ka hona le mo e buang ka qualifications, but it doesn't say what level of education should that person have as an independent candidate. It just talk about what do you call it, educational qualifications, but doesn't say what level of education should that person have. So one other thing, all these independent candidates can have something like, there should be a panel for them before they can get into the ballot paper. They should go through shortlisting, because honestly, they are there, ballot paper 200. One other thing, Kina, threshold should also be not less than 20, as most people have said. At least ibe ka hodimunyana. And one other thing, accountability. Yes, it's a bill that has been, that is there. But now my question, my most fear, where are those people going to account? Because there are a lot of people who have been councillors at our wards, respective wards. But that's about the ward councillors at wards level. After all, we doesn't account anywhere. Really, that's why there should be a panel that will shortlist them before they can appear or can be, to say they are qualified to be candidates. If that person resigns or something happens, because being an independent candidate, at least when we have this ones as party candidate, he will be replaced or whatsoever. Now, there is going to be this thing of, what do you call it, by elections. So, but in any way, we say as Sanko, we support this bill.
Thank you.
Lina la ka ke nna Mothubi mme ke tswa mo lekgotleng lengwe la Samco gona mo Thabantsho. I just want to say right from the beginning that as far as this bill is concerned, thumbs up. But it is very silent about some of the things related to the qualifications, because it doesn't say, it just says qualifications, but it doesn't say at what level of qualifications are actually required. But it just continues to say educational qualifications. Mme le fa go ntse jalo, ke ne ke nka kopa gore se se ka tshwanelang ke gore se dirwe ke gore pele re nna le bontlhophe ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi go nne le panel e tla kgonang gore e ba tlhatlhobe gore go se ke ga tsena mongwe le mongwe fela yo o goteng e tla nna ntlhopheng yo o ikemetseng a le nosi. Ka tsela e ntse jalo re tla kgona go laola di ballot paper tsa rona. Mme ha re tla mo kganya ya threshold re letsa gore e nne go godimonyana threshold ya teng, and then be re tla mo kganya ya go sikara maikarabelo ka mantswe a mang batho ba e le bontlhapeng ba ikemetseng ka nosi ha ba dira diphoso tse di rileng. Dipotso tse ke nang le tsone mo go nna ke gore nao ba go ikarabella kae, ke kae ko ba tla sekisiwa ke mang ka mantswe a mangwe, ka gore ha ba dirile phoso motho a teng o tla ba re fela nna ke ikemetse ga ke na mathata ke siame. So selo seo ke bothata bo bo tshwanetse gore bo tlhokomelwe magareng ga bontlhopheng ba ba ikemetseng ka nosi, ka lebaka la gore ga gona gope ko ekete ba ka sekisediwa diphoso tsa bone teng tse ba ka di dirang tse ba tshwanetse gore go buiwe le bone ka tsone. Sa bofelo, my question was, what happens then when this particular person resigns? Because the problem that we have is, are they going to be replaced, or what process is going to be followed? So we know that by-elections has often been referred to. This is a worry to us. Thank you.
Thank you. The last speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Moses.
Miss, not Mr. Miss.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair. My name is Moses Mutlo from Sanko, Botshabelo. I would like to start with this by saying that we accept the bill as is it. But we are concerned about one issue here. Ntlha ya hore ha o etsahala gore ho be le nkgetheng go tlameha ho be le sehlomathiso se bontshang gore nkgetheng wa rona ha a re lahlehela a ikemetse ho be le tsela e leng hore o ya replacewa ka ona. Re utlwisisa hore sehlomathiso ka tsela e se beiweng ka teng ha se fane ka hore nkgetheng wa rona a replace ha bonolo, go tlameha ho huwe di-by-election. Homme re bona seo se se bohlokwa, go tlameha ho be le sehlomathiso se tsitsitseng se e leng gore nkgetheng yona se mo beha tlasa boemo ba hore a replaceiwe jwalo ka di-political party le tsone di kgona ho replacea batho ba teng. Ke mane mo re kgutlela ntlheng ya hore na motho yona o fitla a encounter kae ha e le hore o ikemetse jwalo. Go tlameha ho be le tsela kapa metjha eo e leng hore e tlo netefatsa hore le yena o na le mo e leng hore o fitla a reporta teng hobane o etelletse setjhaba pele ha iketella pele ebile nkgetheng hobane a kgethiwe. Ka mantswe a mang o tlameha a be le mo le yena a fanang ka dintlha tsa hae teng. Empa re tlo kgutlela mona ho na le sebui se buileng sa re se hlokometse hore diphehiso tse bang mo ha di be matla haholo. Ka mantswe a mang lehlakore le batlang le bonahala e le lona le phehisang haholo e ba lehlakore la borra dipolotiki. Re tlo dumelana le ena lebaka ke lena motjha le mokga o sebediswang ha o tliwa sebokeng se ka reng se ha o fane ka nako e nepahetseng kapa nako e lekaneng bakeng sa hore ho ka kopanwa le setjhaba sa bo rona ka tsela ya hore ha o tluwa mo ba ba fihlelletswe ka tsela tsohle hoba re na le mefuta ya batho e fapafapaneng. Ha re bua ka di-stakeholders re kentse batho ba fumanehang ba bang ba sa itekanela diqhwala jwalo hore re ba fihlelle re hloka nako e lekaneng hore ha re tla re tlo hlahisa mo tseo e leng hore re tlo tla re di hlahisa e be tse isang naha ya rona pele kapa e be tse bang le boleng bo e leng hore bo a bonahala hore ntho e ne e tlisitswe monana ka nnete e matla e le ka nnete. Ke a leboha.
Thank you.
My name is Mos Motlowung from the same organization as the previous person, Samco. And then I'm from here in Botshabelo. And then I would like to state right from the beginning that I do support the bill. There is always a but. A but here is that we do have a concern. Question was, what happens exactly when an independent candidate has to be replaced? So is there a formula that has to be followed? Well, right now the problem is that this issue of by-election is in focus. So that is where we still have a problem about this matter. So it's not right to actually, as far as we are concerned, to go along with this process of by-elections. There must be an established formula that has to be used for this particular candidate to be replaced, just as it happens even in other political parties. Now, the question still stands, where do they account if there is a problem? Again, there must be some processes that must be followed. This person must know where to report so that, because he leads the nation, he doesn't lead himself. So if this can be looked into, well, it will be one of the best things to be done. One of the speakers did mention earlier saying that the comments that have been offered by some of the members of the society do not have much substance. They seem to be weak, and simply because people fall for what is said by the political parties themselves. Now, well, this is because of the fact that the processes that you are using here, for instance, like coming into this meeting here, does not give you and us much time to meet different members of the society. So because of that, you remember we've got different people from different walks of life and backgrounds, etc. Not having much time from yourselves to meet many of them actually creates a lot of problems. So we wish you could actually take that into consideration so that all these problems can be sorted out, because they have a lot to offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us note a last speaker whom kindly be indicative of your name and where you come from, or either you support or you reject the amendment bill. Thank you.
Thank you, the chairperson and the House at large. My name is Electoral Amentment from ANC, a disability coordinator in Free State. My take is to support the bill with some input to add upon the bill. The first one will be to say, for disability sector to be accommodated or be part of the democratic processes that have been happening in our country, I would like the bill to add or note that we have proposed a 7% quota of disability representative in all spheres of services in South Africa, being board, government, political activities, because in all activities that have been taking place, we have been marginalized in all aspects. Even the setup today, I couldn't see when people were being nominated. So I raised my hand, dropped the hand, not knowing if I'm nominated or not. So in that regard, it's also part of the marginalizing, because the process or the approach that was being utilized could not accommodate. And the means of the document, yes, the font size could accommodate me, but one another person would not be accommodated. For blind people, we use a braille. There's no braille production that has been allocated or audio document for information to be disseminated. So I think within the bill, there has to be many amendments that would accommodate the sphere society in our country to partake the activities that have been run by the parliament. So that's my contribution. Further than that, I will make the notes, because it's a lot that one has to share amongst the parliamentarians. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll welcome that note.
Ke a leboha, lebitso la ka ke Lehlohonolo Molebatsi. Ke dumellana le bili ena ka hohle hohle. Nna ke tswa mane ANC, mme ke ke coordinator ya batho ba nang le disabilities. Ke a leboha modulasetulo le bohle ba mo potapotileng. Nna ke dumellana le bili ena empa ke na le dintho tse mmalwa tse ke batlang ho di sisinya hore di kenyeletswe. Ya pele ke sisinya hore ho be le persente tse supileng 7% ya karolo ya boemedi bo tla fuwang batho ba ho thweng ke ba disabled hohle mmusong, dipolotiking le dikgethong batho ba be le moemedi moo, hobane ka mehla ba dula ba qhelela thoko, ba kgethelwa thoko naheng ena. Ha ke etsa mohlala le hona mona kajeno lena ka baka la bofokodi ba mahlo, ke ne ntse ke phahamisa letsoho ke le dia ke sa utlwa le hore ke kgethuwe, ke sa bone kapa ke kgethuwe kapa ha ke a kgethwa. Mengolo ha re ngola ditokomane ditlhako boholo kapa bonyenyane ba ditlhako ke mathata bakeng sa batho ba bonang empa ba sa bone hantle, ka hore lokela ho hlokomela ntho tse kang tse hore batho ba seke ba kgethollwa. Ke iphumane ke kgethollotse kajeno lena ka tsela ya mongolo wa batho ba sa boneng. Batho ba sa boneng ho sebediswa tokomane tse jwang ka hore e ngotswe ka mongolo wa braille. Ha ke e bone mona, etswa ha ke e bone le dikopanong tse ding tsa mofuta ona tse hlophisitsweng ke mmuso, mme ke kopa hore ntho tseo komiti ena e di ele hloko. Ntlheng ya ho qetela ke tla ngola tokomane ya dintlha tse ding ka ha ke a tseba komiti ena e dumella batho hore ba romele di-notes, ka hoo ke tla romela note.
Thank you. I'm of the view there are no other speakers that would want to make submissions. We were on a second round, which each round took 10 hands. The second one took another 10 hands. Therefore, in that regard, I would like to thank everyone who has came through the meeting today. And all the views and submissions that have been made have been taken into account, and the committee will speak to them when they deal with the matter of the amendment bill. No. I think you're interpreting it wrong. But in that sense, I would like, hence I've made an indication that welcome everyone. We did welcome everyone and thank everyone to have been here. Your submissions have been taken into consideration by the committee when it finalizes the matter of the amendment bill. So therefore, I adjourn the session. Thank you. Thank you. We can all adjourn home now. Brown, we're waiting for your submission.